Namaste. Good evening, everyone. We from the Panchajanya organization had started a APGT Sankalpa series to help the current aspirants for pursuing post graduation in Ayurveda by providing various notes, multiple choice questions, and our target is to help the aspirants to get a good education in Ayurveda various colleges. Today we have Vaidya Anjani Espai. She's pursuing final year post graduation in Department of Panchakarma in Government Ayurveda Medical College, Bengaluru. We are glad to have you here, ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, Sneha, for the introduction. So I hope I'm audible to everyone. So today I'm here to share a few tips and strategies that helped me during my PG entrance because not everyone will know how to deal with certain situations, be it the preparations, be it the exams, and also post exams when you have to make a choice about your colleges, courses, etc. So I'm just here to share some light on these topics. So uh, is English okay with everyone? Sneha, Sneha, I think there is some issue. I'll just wait for Sneha to connect.
Yes, ma'am. You can start now.
Okay. So will you be starting with the questions?
Yes, ma'am. Just a second.
Sure.
Ma'am, from the questions point, we have our first question. How did you
Yeah.
structure your study schedule for the preparation of AAPGT?
My study schedule. Okay. So let before I tell you anything about my preparation, I want to tell you this that I was not sure that I want to do my post graduation in very first place. I decided pretty late that I want to do a post graduation. I think our exams were scheduled in the month of September, and I decided in the December of previous year that yes, I want to do PG. Until then, I did not want to do PG. So in our audience, if there is somebody who has decided very late and started the preparations very late, let me tell you, please don't be scared. I was also one of that, and I was able to crack it. So yeah, I did not prepare anything during my internship because I was in the COVID batch, and there was like a pretty good 5 to 6 months gap between my internship and my exams. So I started preparing after my internship because I had a lot of time. So my strategy to prepare for the subjects is that one was repeated revision. That at least every subject I wanted to revise at least 3 to 4 times, because with one time it is very difficult to remember everything. So let me the main issue with preparation for any competitive exam is that all throughout our undergraduation we have prepared in a different way because our syllabus is so vast and the question papers, the examination pattern is so different. So the preparation is very different compared to a undergraduate exam and a competitive exam. In undergraduate exam, you need to know a lot of content for one question, and when it comes to competitive exam, it's quite the opposite, where a lot of content makes a lot of questions, or a single point can come as three different question, or a single point can be asked as a different types of questions. So pinpointed knowledge of any subject, so you don't need to know a lot of theoretical, or you don't need to know a lot of content weight wise. You need to know pinpoint what was said, what was it, what is the drug used. So literally pinpointed questions are important for this. uh, that's what repeated revision is very important as compared to our undergraduate exam. If we know If we know little, if we know enough for half page, we can drag it and write up to one page. But when it comes to competitive exam, we have to be pinpointed. So a repeated revision for every subject at least 3 to 4 times. Then uh, other than like the best way to prepare is if you get access to any of the material from the coaching center, because they have already listed what is important. They Of course there will be chances that they would have omitted something, they have left out something, that is secondary, but they have already compress the syllabus from one whole textbook to few pages by picking out what is important point wise, the pinpointed question which may be asked. So coaching center material, all such things will be helpful. And one more thing, that before, like while you are preparing, uh, different students need to put different amount of efforts. So I was a student who wanted a government college and a government seat. So I did not want, because considering the financial considerations, I wanted a government seat in a government college. So if that is the case, you will have to put more efforts than a person who wants to just qualify, and he may be eligible, like he may have the privilege of taking a payment seat or a government seat or a management college. So compared to all this, you have to, like, you see yourself what kind of seat you want, which city you want, which college you want, whether you want a government seat or a private seat. Based on that, the amount of efforts you will have to put in will vary. Can I go on to the next point, Sneha? So, I will next talk about time management during the preparations, especially. So, I don't know if all my audience here are the exam goers of this year, or there are also people who are writing the exam in the next year, but I will tell this in general. So, the preparations will be different when you have around 5 to 6 months left for the exam. Then again, when it comes to next, like it gets reduced to 3 months, 2 months, etc. And the preparation will be very different in the last 1 month. So in fight, when you have, let's consider that you have 5 to 6 months, or I think now it's happening in July, so it's around 3 to 2 months. So in these months, it's important that at least one round you have to finish all the subjects, then start with the second round. So unlike our undergraduation exams, we don't need a lot of days to cover a single subject. You can cover a single subject in 3 to 4 days if you have the right resources. So once you do that, go for another subject. First, go with the easy subjects, then do the difficult subjects. One theory that is misleading everyone, I want to talk to you about it. That when I was preparing for my AIPGET exams, I also took coaching classes, and we always used to discuss how many hours each student is putting in. So we always used to have this compulsion, not compulsion, but that expectation we had to meet, where we have to do at least 12 hours, at least 15 hours per day. I don't think hours matter, because one student may understand one chapter in 1 hour, the other student may take 2 hours, another student may take 6 hours. So the capability differs from person to person. So do not compel yourself, and that because somebody else is doing 12 hours or 15 hours, you also need to do the same. It is all dependent on your capability purely. I am not discouraging you to do 12 hours. If you are able to do it, well and good, it's the greatest thing. But Do not push yourself out of your capability, out of your strength to do sit and study for 12 hours, 15 hours without giving yourself any break, physically and mentally straining yourself. Don't do that, because it is on a long run, it is going to affect your mental health and physical health. And it, like, you have to be healthy until your exams. So don't put too much pressure on yourself. Don't count the hours you're putting in. um, yeah, so every subject at least once you have to finish. Then once you finish a subject, try taking the mock test of the same subject. So if you finished, for example, if you have finished studying Prasuti Tantra and Sri Roga, I think you will have various platforms. I will be telling you what all platforms I used. Go for mock tests from the same subjects, and whatever questions you're not able to crack, make a list of them. After 1 week, once you have a set of questions, maybe 10 questions, 20 questions that you could not crack. So, after 1 week, take up the same test of those 10 questions that were difficult for you initially. So, this I would suggest during 3 to 2 months. For somebody who's not writing the exam in this year, for you at least, like, whenever you're starting, first you will need to have an idea of all the subjects, whatever the content is there, before you take a mock test. So make sure you go through the subjects, go through the notes of all the subjects, and then start taking mock tests. This is the preparation I did when there were 3 to 2 months left, that I was doing my second or third revision for every subject and taking tests. But I preferred studying more than taking mock tests. So that is also a theory, that everyone says that you have to study for half of your time, take mock test for half of your time. There is no rule as such. You don't stick to the rule. Do what is comfortable for you. Only when you study and familiarize yourself with the subject, you will be able to do the mock test. So this is the preparation in the 3 to 2 months. And last 1 month, you need extensive efforts from your side. So last 1 month is for the last revision. And one more thing is that, as in when you do revision, it takes you lesser and lesser amount of days. Your first time when you're studying, it may take you a whole week to complete one whole subject. Second time, you may be able to finish it in 3 to 4 days. Third time in one day, and fourth time in half a day. So that is one good thing, that once you keep revising, half of it, then three-fourth of it is already in your memory. So you require lesser and lesser days. That will help you finish your revisions faster. So in the last 1 month, again, you have to revise at least once a week, like all the subjects at least once a week, because for example, if your exam is I am not sure about your exam dates, but if your exam is in end of July and beginning of July you have revised, but you have not touched the same subject until your exams, then again that is going to be a setback. So first week of July, you try to finish almost all subjects. If you're not able to finish, keep one or two aside. You can do it when you make time, when you get little bit of time. Second week, again go for revising all the subjects once again. So this kind of extensive revision is required in the last month of preparation. So this is about time management during the preparation. I will be telling about time management during the exams later.
Ma'am, our next question is how to cope up with the stress and anxiety during the preparation for the AAPGT.
Okay. So coming to when we get most stressed is when we see a friend or some competitor who is like studying non-stop, and if you're not doing that, you will really feel stressed out. So one thing is, stop comparing your efforts to somebody else's effort. Trust me, as I told earlier, just because somebody is studying 24 hours doesn't mean that they will necessarily score better than you. It is all again coming back to your capability. So first thing is, you will have to stop comparing yourself with others. Second thing, if you're stressed by studying continuously, studying a single subject, and you feel like it is draining your energy out, you feel like you need a break, then either switch subjects. That is what we were told during our preparations, that switching the subject, it has to be your only break. So if you find a subject difficult, stop doing it, and if you're stressed, stop doing that subject and switch to a subject which you have already done, which is easy. So that will help you increase your confidence. So for example, for me, Rasa Shastra used to be difficult because I was not able to recall all the processing, recall all the what all things are there that you need to memorize. So it was difficult for me. So as soon as I started Rasa Shastra, whenever I used to get stressed, I used to stop studying Rasa Shastra and start with Vaishajya, because Vaishajya was very easy on the other hand. So when I did that, I felt like, okay, if not Rasa Shastra, at least my strength is in Vaishajya. So if the questions are from Vaishajya, I will be able to manage it. So second point, first point is to stop comparing yourself with others. Second point is to switch the subject. The other stress buster, what I can say, is taking a mock test. So, studying requires a different kind of energy. It requires continuous concentration, and one, as opposed to that, if you're feeling very much stressed by studying for a long run, just stop studying and start taking mock tests. So, what happens with mock test is like, it's like you're taking a quiz, right? It's just questions and you have to keep answering it. So once you take a mock test, if you've done very well, definitely you will feel better. If you have not done well, at least you will have to sit and go through the questions you have dealt wrong and study them. So at least that question paper you have dealt with, and you're good at solving the same question paper next time. So mock test can also be a good stress buster for you if you're studying continuously for a long time, or you're studying a difficult subject. And the last point for stress buster is, if you're not able to do any of this, if you're not able to switch subject and still study, if you're not able to take mock tests, then give yourself breaks. uh, have a reward for yourself. So during my time, my reward was that I will watch an episode of my favorite series. So I used to tell myself that, okay, I will try and study for 3 hours. I used to calculate by hours, or I used to give myself goal that I will try and finish these many topics. If I finish that successfully, I will watch one episode of my favorite series. So have a reward for yourself. Keep something that you always like to do. Maybe it may be a game, it may be watching something, it may be going somewhere. Anything like that, have a reward like that for yourself, and try doing it during your break. So once you come out of this preparation phase and do what you like, you will feel refreshed, and you may be able to go back and study again after the break. Last point, if you're not able to study even after the break, uh, even after changing the subject, you're finding it difficult to study, even after taking mock test, you're not able to study, then you will have to like rest for that day, maybe take rest for that day. This is considering you have a lot of time, not on the previous day of exams, of course. So uh, the next day you will have to put in more hours and more efforts. Just call it quits on that day. These were the tips I followed during my exams when I had a lot of stress. And there's another point: stress management and motivation. This is about stress management. Motivated. There will be times during our preparation that sometimes even I have questioned myself: do I really need to do PG? Do I really have to go through all this to get a PG seat? That is when you have to have some goal in your mind that will keep you motivated. My goal in my mind was that I definitely did not want. I was very sure about what college and what seat I wanted. That is whatever I'm currently pursuing. So I just kept this seat, this college in my mind. So that kept on going, kept on helped me keep on going. So you also can have some goal like that in your mind. Maybe imagine the college that you want to take your seat in, or imagine the subject that you want to excel in. If you don't have either of these, maybe imagine something in a long run. Imagine yourself as a assistant professor of some reputed college. So to achieve all this, you will definitely need PG. So have some goal like that, that will definitely drive you to study and to take the efforts that are required for cracking this exam.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we'll go to exam day strategy. What was your approach on the day of exam?
Okay. Um at least, see, I did not follow it, but I will definitely tell this is one mistake I did. Please don't try and revise things on the day of exam, because I'm sure you have to reach pretty early to the examination center and all that. There is no, and you will always like, even though everyone is telling you to be calm and you are being calm, but there is some level of subconscious stress that your body and mind is undergoing. So during this phase, there is no point in last minute revision. Last minute revision will help you with theory exams, definitely. But when it comes to competitive exam, it's the day of the exam and your mind doesn't know which subject to touch. There are like 13, 14 subjects, so many samhitas, so many mnemonics that you have made. All these things, even though you have made short notes, all those things, it's still a lot of content for your brain to process on the day of exam. So my tip for you would be, on the morning of exam, please do not revise anything. Whatever you have revised will definitely be in your memory, even just before the exam, even though you're feeling like you do not remember anything, you don't know anything. If, of course, everyone will be feeling like that, but once that question flashes in front of you, in front of your eyes, you will definitely recall it. So no revision on the day of exam. Make sure you get very good sleep on the previous night of exam, even though because of stress you may not be able to sleep so well, but at least do not spend half the night, three-fourth the night revising topics, because if you are not, if you have not slept well, you will, you may be feeling drowsy the next day. Your memory may not be as sharp as it has always been. So make sure you give yourself a good amount of rest and good sleep on the previous night. And one more thing which I did not do is, I think, like when you, if you are going to a coaching center, or even otherwise, maybe your colleges, they will tell you the process at the examination hall. So what are the documents you need to carry, what is first verification, after your verification you will be sent to your examination room. There again they will be cross checking your number, etc., etc., your center, etc., and then you will be made to sit in front of the screen, and that there will be a different process when you start, like before starting your exam. Familiarize yourself with that process on the day of exam, because this happened with me. I went to the examination center, and the person who was cross checking the register number in the center, he, I think he missed out my number in his list, and he said that my exam is not here, I have to go elsewhere. Like my name is not on their list. This is like 10 minutes, 15 minutes before the exam. That got me very, very stressed at that moment. And all I was not like, all I was able to think of was to write the exam. In my mind, none of the subjects were going on. I was very, very stressed. So hmm, this kind of stress just before the exam, it will hamper your capability of answering the questions. When your exam is in like 15 minutes and somebody is telling you that you cannot write the exam now, your center is not here, that is scaring you definitely. And imagine what will happen to whatever you have studied. It is taking a hit. So be prepared for such. Ultimately, like somebody else cross checked my number was there and I was able to write, but that whole 10-15 minutes of chaos created so much disturbance in my mind that initially it was difficult for me to remember, like it was difficult for me to come out of the stress and start recalling the answers. So be prepared for such chaos. It will be there, because so many centers are like, there will be so many centers and so many arrangements. They will have some mishaps, but you will be like, it will just tell yourself that it is going to be okay. You will get your exam. Familiarize with this process and be prepared to have any like small problems. Be prepared for it, because it will, if you're prepared for it, it will not make you panic. We don't need a panic just before you attend the exam. So the another tip is that you familiarize with the process that is to be done at the examination center. Be prepared for small problems and mishaps. It is going to happen. Do not panic when this happens. There will be a lot of people to help you. at the center. They will take care of you. Even when it comes to the system, computer system, there will be some issue, maybe the internet issue or some connection issue. Expect such mild small problems, because it will not make you panic. Once you have already expected it to happen, it will not make you panic. Then exam day strategy is time management during exam. So I have told you about time management during preparation, but time management during exam is very, very important. So I'm guessing there are 120 questions and 120 minutes to answer. So my tip for you would be, keep the first 50 minutes to 1 hour to answer all the easy questions. So once you start, you don't have to keep answering in the order. So start answering from question number one. Question number one is easy, you answer it, okay. You're very confident, you answer it, okay. Go to question number two, okay, that also you answer it. Question number three is a little tricky. If you like spend at least 30 seconds on it, if you're not able to crack it, leave question number three, go to the next question. Like this, by the end of 1 hour, or at least by the end of 50 minutes, you will have to cover all the easy questions. So next 30 minutes will be for the questions which are of medium difficulty, or questions that require you to write something and recall. Maybe you have made a mnemonic. For that mnemonic, you're not able to recall the mnemonic as such, and you have to write it down and then remember. So all these kind of questions, or questions that like 50-50, it's like 50% and if you think a little bit more, you will be able to get there. All these kind of questions you have to answer in the next 30 minutes. So we have finished like 1.5 hour, 1 hour 20 minutes to 1.5 hour. In this, we have finished easy questions, tricky questions, and medium difficulty questions. Last 15 to 20 minutes you have to keep for the most difficult questions. Most difficult questions will usually be something you have no idea about. It does not have to be like, if you have studied it, then you will somehow remember it, and you would have finished it in the medium difficulty round. But there will be questions that you have never, like, from the topics that you have never touched, or some tricky questions, some questions uh, that you have no idea about, no clue about. These questions you keep for the last 15 to 20 minutes, so that and on when you are answering these very difficult questions, or the or the questions you have no idea about, so first think about whether or not you will be able to answer it. So if you look at the question and you feel like, okay, I have studied this somewhere, if I give myself a little bit of time and if I try to recall, if I will be able to crack it, first you think of that. Then see if it is worth the risk. Because if these questions are the topics that you have not heard about, these questions are something you have no idea about, you have to do risk analysis. Is it safe for me to just guess an answer, like uh, uh, take a random guess and answer? And then, if you think, like, you by then you would have already known how many questions you have answered correctly, how many may be right or may not be right. By then you will have this idea. So based on that number of questions, and based on what you have answered in the past 1.5 hour, do the risk analysis and then answer this question. Then last 10 to 15 minutes is for checking your answers from the beginning to the 120th question. Sometimes what happens, if the computer at the exam center is slow, we go for the next question, and sometimes it would have clicked it twice. We would have clicked it twice, and one question might have gotten skipped. So, in order to prevent all this, in the last 10 to 15 minutes, make sure you read all the 120 question numbers, go through all the 120 questions. See if you know anything, and you have not answered that question. See if you have by mistake selected option B instead of option C. All such mistakes which can be prevented, and which will help you gain more mass. All these things you have to do in the last 10 to 15 minutes. So what I said, that risk analysis, one thing that actually helped me score better was that from right from our undergraduation, right from our first year BAMS, we are told that we should not leave any questions in the exam. We should not leave any questions in the exam, even if you don't know anything. Write something about that question. Write anything. Fill 2 lines. Fill half a page. Anything. But that is something you should not do in competitive exam because of negative marking. So I will tell you my own incident. Out of 120 questions, I think I attempted around 80 questions, 81 questions, out of which 65 or something were right, and 16 were wrong. And 30 questions I didn't answer. 65 plus 15 is okay, wait. Yeah, okay. 75 questions I answered, 15 questions, 75 questions I got right, 15 questions I answered wrong, and then 30 questions I had not answered. So, because of 15 questions wrong, I lost around 3.75 marks, and then 75 questions I got them right. Coming to the 30 questions I didn't answer, it was a very good, it was actually a good decision on my side, because another junior of mine or some friend of mine, like who took the exams next time, they answered all the 120 questions. They made this mistake of answering all the 120 questions, even though they were not sure about certain questions. And the ranking differed by a huge margin because they lost more marks in negative. So the ranking differed by a huge margin. So I will tell you that whatever you are 100% or at least 90% confident about, please answer it. Whatever you are like 50% confidence about, if there are four options and you are sure that A and D are not the answers, it is between B and C. Uh, Take some time, and these kind of questions you can answer if it is between B and C. Like when you try and memorize it, I'm sure you will be able to come on a conclusion between B and C. Like what I'm trying to say is that when it has come down from four options to two options, it means that you are at least 50% sure that this may be the answer. It is 50-50, which is okay, which is a risk worth taking. So that also you can answer. But then the questions which you don't think you know anything at all, you have nothing, you have no clue about it, then please do not answer such questions. Because when we do not know anything and we are just randomly guessing and answering, there are more chances of the answer being wrong, and we will end up losing a lot of marks. So just answer whatever you are sure of, to at least 50% sure, or at least 40% if you're sure about it. Answer. Below 40%, please don't take this risk of answering all questions.
Ma'am, next, what were some mistakes you made during your preparation and how did you correct them? What do you wish you had done it differently?
Okay. So mistakes during my preparation was, I think even now that is how it is. Everyone prepares in two, like they divide their subjects into two divisions. One is samhitas, one is the core subjects. So I concentrated a lot on core subjects, and I did not concentrate as much on samhitas, even though everything that is there in core subjects is from samhitas, and whatever is there in samhita is again, it is getting divided into all your subjects. Even then, I should have uh, studied and given more importance to samhitas, which I could not do. I was good with core subjects, but I was very poor at samhitas. So this mistake, I will ask you all to prevent. Give equal importance to samhita and uh, your core subjects. There will be some people who will just study the samhita because it covers all of your core subjects. That again, if you're comfortable with that method, then well and good. It is again going to be a good, like you will remember a lot and you will know a lot when you study the samhitas. And then there will be other, like people who do core subjects and then come back to samhita. Anything is fine, just don't leave the samhitas. And one more difficult part of the syllabus is itihasa. be very thorough with Itihasa. I think many of the coaching class materials or books like Govind Parekh have a lot of questions and points on Itihasa that are important for your exam. So Itihasa and Samhita is something that I did not concentrate much on. This was the mistake from my end, and this is what I wish that I would have studied. I would have done correctly, and what else would I have done correctly was that, as I mentioned previously, uh, that I got 15 questions wrong. So if you are in that situation where I may have answered something with a wild guess, which may be one of those 15 questions, again, if you can prevent that, well and good, you will score better marks.
Our next question will be on resources and tools. Which study materials or resources did you
Yeah.
find most helpful? Are there any apps or online platforms you would recommend?
Yes, definitely. Along with, I was already going to coaching center, so I had material from them. I had one whole book of questions from them. I was already taking tests from that book. But then I came across this app. I think many of you may already be using it. If you're not using it, please use it. It's called Ayur Quest. AYUR Ayur Quest, QUEST. It has a lot of questions. I started using the app like 2 3 months before the exam, 2 months before the exam, and every day I used to take mock test on that. And the good thing about this app is the app has subject wise questions, then it has previous year question papers, then it has a real time, like it will real time measurement. Once you start the exam, it is going to actually give you 120 minutes. There is negative marking. So then you will get a scorecard at the end of every test, and then it will show the statistics of all the tests you have taken. All such features are there in this app called Quest, which was really helpful for me. And once you have already taken a test, it will show the wrong questions, right questions, everything, and you can take it up again. So this this app helped me a lot. I would recommend my audience to use this app. But just now I was just going through this app on the Play Store, and I've seen that so many other apps have also been released. In during my time, I wrote my exams in 2021, and during that time there were not so many apps. Now I saw at least 8 to 10 apps related to your AIPGT exam preparations. I'm not familiar with the other apps, but I would urge my audience to go through all these apps and see what works the best for you. It's a great thing that the apps are being developed for our exams, because AIPGT exams were like a very um, less known about. Not everyone would know about this exam. Everyone would compare our exams with NEET PG. Everyone would ask us, "Are you writing NEET PG?" Then we would have to tell them, "No, NEET PG is for the other courses. We have our own exam called AIA PGT." But now we have come to this point where there are good number of apps for our exam preparation. So go through these apps, see which app you like the most. We see which app is the best for you, and you can rely on these apps. Quest is one app which I would recommend for you all. It was actually helpful for me. And other tools is, of course, you will get some or the other material from your coaching center. And I think even in these apps, you will have some notes. I don't know up to what extent it covers all the points from your syllabus. I'm not sure about the notes part. At least for the mock test, this app is very good. So you have to rely upon Samita and your sources from coaching centers, etc. One more book I think everyone knows about is Govind Parekh. Just one suggestion: if you're taking up Govind Parekh, don't if you're starting your preparation from this month, don't try solving or try studying Govind Parekh from this month, because you will not understand anything. Once you have at least revised the subjects once or twice, minimum once at least, only after that you have to go and study Govind Parekh. Only after that you will remember. If you directly start preparing with Govind Parekh, it is difficult to remember, because you don't have a background that is, your background with that subject is not that good at when you are starting initially. So these are the resources and tools I used for my preparations.
Ma'am, next, subject-specific tips. How did you approach high-yield subjects, and any tips for the specific subjects that you found particularly challenging for the preparation?
Okay. So, coming to the subjects, maybe you can divide the subjects into these categories: easy to understand and easy to memorize, difficult to understand, difficult to memorize. So, I would put Prasuti, Kaumara Bhritya, Kriya, Rachana, Dravya Guna, Roga, Kaya Chikitsa, all these things. It is easy to understand because there is not a lot of things you need to memorize. Then the subjects which need you to memorize are Dravya Guna, Rasa Shastra, Agara Tantra, when it comes to some points like Vishavega or such. These are the things, even though you understand, you will still have to memorize them. So these are the subjects that are that you have to memorize. Then there are subjects which are difficult to understand, which will be Padartha Vignana and Samhita. Padartha Vignana, because you studied Padartha Vignana in your first year of BAMS, and now you're already minimum 3.5 years apart. So you're not, your memory of your classes or your memory of Padartha Vignana that you studied in your first year is not so fresh. So you will, first time if you read Padartha Vignana, first you will have to understand everything again, provided like if you have forgotten what you have studied in first year, like I did. So you will first have to understand the, it may be Vadas, it may be Darshanas, all those things. First you need to understand it. Even coming to Samhitas, certain quotations that are that look easy to us when, but some like the real meaning is hidden only in the commentaries. So you will have to read the commentaries to understand the quotation. So Padartha Vignana and Samhita are something that are little more difficult to understand than your straightforward subjects like Kaya Chikitsa, Prasuti, all such things. Then there are things that are difficult to memorize. That would be Agada, Rasashastra, and Dravya Guna to some extent, because there are a lot of drugs that you need to remember. For example, in Rasashastra, there are various varga, each varga having so many drugs under them, so many mineral compounds. Each each thing has different information about it. So it requires a lot of memorization. So I would suggest that first, you finish the subjects which are easy to understand, easy to memorize. Then you go for the difficult to understand and difficult to memorize subjects. And even while revising, have lesser time for the subjects that are easy to understand and memorize, and have more time for the subjects that are difficult. This is subject specific tips I would suggest. And of course, again, coming to the uh, tips that everyone gives is that make mnemonics for, probably Rasa Shastra will require mnemonics. I think there are certain books also which has mnemonics for subject specific mnemonics. I am not very sure which publication they are from, but I have come across these books which have mnemonics for the each and every, maybe Rasa, Vaishajya, Raveguna, Agada, all these things, they have mnemonics. So these are the subject specific tips I would advise to you.
Ma'am, next, the major point, general advices. What is the one
Okay.
piece of advice you would give to current aspirants? How important is it to have a study group or a mentor?
Okay. One piece of advice I would give to current aspirants is that if you're thinking that you will not be able to do this, of course, when we start preparation, we will always feel like, okay, I'm not going to get through this. I will not be able to crack my exams. I'm not good enough. That is one feeling that probably everyone experiences. Let me just tell you this. It is possible. I have seen and I have heard of people who have studied in the last 1 month or last 20 days and still cracked the entrance exam and got a good seat in a good college. So please do not discourage yourself. More than discouraging yourself, you have to boost your own confidence by saying that you will be able to do it. Just because one day you're not able to concentrate or one day you're not able to study doesn't mean that that day is going to make you fail your exams. It is just one bad day. It is not that all your preparations are going waste because of that one bad day. So don't pull yourself down. Don't have thoughts that pull you down, that you are not good enough, you have not studied enough, maybe you have started preparing late. These may be the factors that are making you feel underconfident. And again, mock tests. Maybe you are doing very bad at your mock test. I will tell you frankly, I have done very bad at all my mock tests. That there was no single test that I have aced, no single test where I got very great marks. I have got negative marks in mock test also, where I got like almost all questions were wrong, and whatever was right also it got negative because of the wrong answers. So there will be days like that. There will be tests like that. Don't think that this is what is going to happen in exam, because after all kinds of preparation also there is one quotient of luck that you will be needing for your exams. So even though you do very badly in your mock test also, don't let it discourage you. Go through all the questions again, take the same test after 1 week. You will feel better about the test you took. So do not uh, let any test or any thought or anything anybody else says, or maybe somebody else's preparation, that they are preparing more than you, don't let these factors make you feel like you are not good enough. That would be my one piece of advice for others. Coming to study group and mentors, it is again based on your capability. There will be people who can study well by themselves and they cannot study well when they are in a group. I am one such person, but I can't study well in a group. I need to study by myself. So these people do not need any study group or mentor, at least study group. Mentor, again, it's different. Again, it is based on your capability. Certain people, they will not be remembering when they study by themselves, but they study very well in a group. So again, depending on your comfort and your capability, I would suggest you to go for a study group. This would be my piece of advice, general piece of advice.
Ma'am, next, post-exam insights. How did you cope up with the waiting period after the exam? How did you choose your specialty and college post results?
Okay. How I coped up with the waiting period after my exam was, I was waiting for the exams to be over. I enjoyed my post exam period. That would be my advice to you, because this waiting period where you do not have any like assuming you are not working somewhere or anything, uh, you do not have any responsibility. You do not have the stress of going to college. You do not have the stress of some exam that is coming up. This kind of period you will not get once again in your life. So my advice would be, enjoy it to the fullest this period. Then coming to how I chose my subject and branch. So when it comes to selecting the course, there are certain considerations. First is, if you doing PG to get the degree of PG, or you are doing PG that like you want to do the PG in a particular subject. There will be certain people will want PG, they don't mind any subject. Then there will be people who want a particular subject. So first is that consideration. Second consideration would be, after your PG, are you interested in going to the academic field or you're going to the practice field? So that will be the second concern. Third concern would be whether you want a government seat or a payment seat. So, or considering all this, you will have to make your choices. Uh, Again, see, they like the Ayurvedic Society has discriminated the subjects into clinical and non-clinical background, but I think every field has its own set of strengths and weaknesses. So just because somebody did a PG in the non-clinical base doesn't mean that they're not good practitioners. Somebody from Samhita Siddhanta can treat a patient better than probably somebody who did their PG in Kaya Chikitsa, because they have knowledge of all the Samhitas, right? So do not let these thoughts make you, you know, uh, do not let these thoughts influence your decision. So first, think of all these consideration. If you're doing PG only for the sake of the degree and the subject doesn't matter to you, it will again like your choice will be easy. based on your ranking, whichever subject is available, like whichever subject is feasible for you, you will be able to do it. But if you are subject specific, then list out the colleges that have uh, good amount of exposure in that subject. If you are probably, if for example, if you want to do your MS Shalyatantra or MS Chalakya, list out the colleges that have good number of patient input in these uh, branches. List out the colleges that have good teaching faculty. So all these things. Coming to academic and practice oriented, if you want to become an academician, then lot of chances are there for student like sorry lot of chances are there from PG from Kriya Sharira, Rachna Sharira, and uh, I think Kaumara Britya, Prasuti. These are a little rarer subjects. Practice oriented, again, you can go for Kaya Chikitsa, Shalya, Shalakya, Kaumara, Prasuti. I am not saying that, as I said earlier, practice oriented, anyone can practice. Anyone who has even BAMS graduate will be able to practice. So PG, which branch you will be taking, is not a major um, decision, like major factor for you to decide if you will go for practice or we will become an academician. Practice is completely something that is dependent on your skill more than what PG you pursue. It depends on your skill. So that is second consideration. Third consideration is government or private seat. So if you want to go for government seat, list out the government colleges. First, think of what states you will be able to go to. Then in that state, which are all the government colleges, inquire about those colleges from the alumnus of that college. Then private also. You will I, see. I will not say that government college is always superior to private, because both have their own pros and cons. So government college, of course, you will get a stipend, but there will be certain drawbacks, that maybe it may be the facilities, it may be the infrastructure, all such things. Private will be very strong with the facilities and infrastructures, but it is a non-stipendiary seat. So depending on all this, you will have to select your course, the subject you want to pursue your PG in. This would be the considerations.
Ma'am, last but not the least,
Yeah.
would you like to give any suggestions regarding the best brands and any alternatives instead of PG, and the safe
Okay.
score for the getting seats in the colleges, and best college,
Okay.
either it is government or private?
Okay. Uh, the best branch to do PG, I think it is a very subjective question. I am doing I'm doing my MD in Panchakarma and I am very happy with it. So I will say Panchakarma. But somebody who is doing their MS in Shalya, they would say Shalya Tantra. So there is nothing as such, nothing said best branch as such. It is completely subjective. But please make sure that you have interest in the field you are going to. If you are not at all interested in Prasuti Tantra and Stri Roga, but you are still going there only because it is going to give you a PG, you will definitely get the degree of PG. But if you are not interested, you will not be able to learn anything there. And it is, the PG life there will be difficult for you as long as you are not interested in it. So make sure that you have interest in the field you are going into, then that will only become the best branch for you. Coming to alternatives to PG, there are a lot of courses these days. I think one course everyone is familiar with, and many of my friends are also doing, is MPH. So, if you have finished your BAMS and you are doing your MPH, which is a 2 years course, I think there's a teaching opportunity in Swasthavrita. You can teach Swasthavrita in Ayurvedic colleges. Apart from that, you have uh, many other opportunities, such as like you will have more uh, chances in government recruitment. Other than MPH, there are many courses, 2 years courses, such as diploma in anatomy, diploma in physiology, and I have not made a list of all these courses, that, and it's such a big uh, like there are so many options that it will probably take a different whole session for that. But if you are sure that you do not want to do PG, there are a lot of options these days. So please go through all these things. There will be certificate courses in Kshara Sutra, 6 months training program in Panchakarma. All these things, it will definitely, if you're like, if you do not want to go for an academic field where PG is mandatory, and you want to do some course that will help you with practice, but you don't want to do PG. If you are of that mindset, then you can go for all these alternative courses. As I said again, I am not prepared for the list of Courses, there are a lot of courses you can go through. I think uh, College Dunia. There's a website called College Dunia, and on that only I have seen a lot of courses for Ayurveda. So you can go through that. Then coming to which college is better or which college is best, as I mentioned earlier, government college and private college, all of these colleges have their own pros and cons. Again, depends on what you want to do. If you really just want the PG degree at the end of 3 years, then it doesn't matter if the patient inflow is good or bad. That's why on paper PG also some people prefer. So again, it depends. It all comes down to what you want to do in the next 3 years. So I would not say that this college is the best, this college is the worst, because every institution will have its own pros and cons. I think I missed out one question. Can you repeat the last one?
Yes, ma'am. The last one was safest score to get the seats in the college.
Safe score. See, safest score, one is that you will need to get the qualifying score, but safest score to get so and so seat in so and so college, that is not predictable, because every year all your rank depends on how much marks the first rank holder gets. If the first rank holder itself gets very less marks, then you don't have to get a particular score. If you have scored less, also you'll get good rank. If the first rank holder gets very good marks, then even if you have scored less marks, then you will get a lower rank. So I don't think there is a particular score that you need to keep in target, because all these competitive exam depends on how everyone is performing. Your rank depends on how everyone else who have taken the exam have performed. So there is no safe score as such.
Yes, ma'am. To summarize the whole session, I'd
Yeah.
like to give some points. Based on your opinions and your suggestions, I'll summarize the whole session. First one is
Yeah, sure.
revision. Repeated revision is the main key, and to stop comparing yourself with others and preparing ourselves for any misleads during the exams, and risk analysis, focus on the samhitas and focus on the strong subjects you're familiar with, then having some goals or aims, uh, and the special one is websites and the apps you suggested. I liked all these points, ma'am. Then we are very glad to have you today on this session. On behalf of our
Thank you.
Panchajanya organization, we are very thankful to you for accepting our invitation. We are coming to the end of this session, and I'd like to wind up the session.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was really nice. Like, because I was preparing for this session, I was able to recall my preparation days, my exam days, all this. And am really grateful that out of everything I said, even if one point helped one person, I will be really happy. So I wish all the aspirants, all the audience who are watching this live, and all the aspirants, all the very best. May your future be very bright, and may you be able to crack your exams with a very good rank. Thank you, and thank you, Team Panchajanya, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you. I'm really grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.